Hey everybody, I wanted to talk about an important topic, and it's youth sports. And for those of you watching this that are concerned for my safety, I'm watching the road. This is on my dash cam. So I don't think you should try to win in youth sports, and I want you to give me an opportunity to defend myself. I think the worst thing you can do is focus your attention on winning in youth sports. And when I say youth sports, I really mean all the way up to the varsity level, if I'm honest with you. So I'm definitely talking about all the youth affiliations when kids are young, all the way up to the high school level. You know, nothing counts until the varsity level. Straight up, doesn't count. So let me tell you how many things count. Varsity, college, professional. That's what counts. Nothing else counts. And so don't misunderstand me. Or to stoplight. Don't misunderstand me. I think you should keep score. There should be winners and losers. But what I do not think is that you should focus your attention towards winning. Here's what I do think is most important. I think in youth sports, the kids need to have fun. They need to have a positive experience emotionally. They need to develop physically. They need to understand how to be in a group of people. They need to understand how to seek instruction, how to take instruction. They need to understand how to lose. They need to understand how to win. They need to play a multitude of different positions and have different experiences and learn problem-solving abilities. And this has got to happen from a culture and environment standpoint. And so let me give you some examples. If you're a coach of let's just say an 8-year-old baseball team, and you're you're playing by the rules, but when a kid's not paying attention, you're like running, stealing bases, or you're manipulating whatever current set of rules are to win games. You're teaching kids very bad habits on how to game systems. And you're teaching these kids that there's hacks, that there's ways to beat things, and that really doesn't help them improve. That doesn't help them love the sport. It doesn't even help you as a coach or person. And winning a youth championship in anything is virtually worthless. Instead, the priority should be development of these athletes as a human being, first of all, development of their approach to movement and physical fitness. And one thing that's understated is their creativity, not just physically, but we know that playing sports in the youth level develops neural pathways that help you learn how to be creative in your problem-solving abilities outside of sport and your approach to work. So that's got to be your most important thing, in my opinion. So if I just was given the ability to be in charge of all youth sports, I don't care if it's soccer, baseball, volleyball, all of it, all the way up to the varsity level, this is what I would do. I would mandate it that every kid has to play a different position every game. That's the first thing I would mandate. I would also mandate that every kid that is on the team has equal playing time. Why would I do this? Well, for a number of reasons. One, when you start exposing kids to different situations, they become a person, a human being, an athlete that can solve a dexterity of problems. They can solve a multitude of different problems. They're more confident in doing tasks that are not asking them. What happens too often is you have some players that even at 4 years old obviously can get to the ball faster. Well, who do you think is going to develop the skill of what to do with the ball? The kids that get to the ball faster. So if they're always in those positions, who's never going to develop in some of the skills that you need them to? The kids you always have playing the positions that you put them at because they're not good at certain things. I'm not going to say when or how, but I can tell you for a fact, there's been some teams that I've worked with where you start forcing people to play things they're not good at. You start forcing some of these perceived star players to play positions that they don't want to play. And then all of a sudden, the kids that you didn't think had ability, they do things that are going to surprise you. They develop. So they develop from a confidence standpoint. They develop from a skill standpoint. And now all of a sudden, you have a lot of players that can do a lot of things. I would argue that's how you're going to be better as a team anyway. And look, not to burst anybody's bubble, but your kid's not good, okay? I don't care if he's the best 9-year-old in the planet. Compare him to any varsity athlete, he's terrible. She's terrible. So what are you doing, really? What are you really doing? What you win the Little League World Series, you're still not very good, okay? You just, like, that's not the point. We're developing human beings and people, and what we need to do is be more focused on that development, be more focused on what's the point of youth sports, and the point of youth sports is develop young people. We want them to learn an approach to life, approach to work, a self-confidence, and a healthy relationship with their body. In order to do that, everybody needs to play a multitude of positions. Everybody needs to play equal amount of time, and they need to win and they need to lose. So this will be one of my last points on this. They need to lose. So why is it important for them to lose? It's important for them to lose so they understand an approach and they understand how to seek improvement. Look, I just came from a meeting where I got some feedback, and I've got an opportunity to either take that feedback and use it for an opportunity to get better, or I can take that feedback and I can decide that that person doesn't know what they're talking about, that they were wrong, that I'm justified in my actions. This isn't helpful for me. This isn't helpful for my business. This isn't helpful for my initiatives. Our kids need to learn how to lose. And the more they can lose in youth sports, the more they're given the opportunity to learn how to handle that in a positive way. Now, I'm not saying going defeated is your goal, but if you can, as a coach or as a parent, have teachable moments when you lose, and teach them as a leader on how to handle these losses and be a good sport, then you are teaching them how to have a better approach to life. You got to take a loss. Even in youth sports, you can be a great example to your kids. Say you get beat 8-0 after the game, okay? When you're with your kids, don't go over what they did wrong, but just say, man, that team was really good today. Like, make it temporary. Make them understand this is not a permanent thing. This isn't who you are. This isn't who your team is. That team was really good today. They did some really good things. I think you guys, that's good, because you are going to learn how to defend that in the future. And I think that those things are valuable lessons. And I think that's what youth sports gives you such a great opportunity for that. And I think as parents and coaches and participants, we've got to suck the value out of that that's going to affect our life. Because if we're going to tell every single kid playing youth sports, you're not going to play professional, we're going to be right. I mean, we're going to be right 99.999% of the time. So this can't be a platform for pro sports, because I got news for you if you're watching this and you're like, well, my kid's different, you know, he's the most elite football player in the country for 11 years old. You don't know what I mean, come at me with that. I'm telling you right now, I promise you're wrong, number one. I promise you, number two, it doesn't matter. And I also promise you that the best 11-year-old right now, there's a great chance they will never be good on a higher level, because you've told them they're the best 11-year-old, and that's psychologically damning. So I think that there is just so much, man. And when I'm out there now, I'm with watching my kids grow up and seeing how it's being handled. We're blessed. I mean, my kids are coached by some good people that get it. Not me, if that's what you're wondering. But I think that the priorities have to be there, and if you're not intentional, it can really get away from you. And I also think that it's our responsibility as parents and leaders is that if we see coaches that we're playing against, and they step out of line, we need to be vocal about, hey, this is what our families are here for. This is what our teams are here for. And we have to protect that as much as we can. We can't control it. And if they do act in a way that's not appropriate, we got to have conversations with our kids. We can't just avoid these things and just let them go and let our kids make their own deductions from it. You know, kids, I think in youth sports, really young, I'm talking below middle school, they don't need lectures, they don't need lines, they don't need a lot of I wouldn't say structure, they don't need a lot of rules. If you're conducting practice for young kids, because people ask me, well, you gotta tell us we can't do anything. Well, here's what I would say. Create situations in practice that encourage creative problem solving. for instance, if you're coaching a young soccer team, do a 2 versus 1 defensive drill where you put 2 kids that maybe they haven't shown that they can do a lot on defense. Put them out there together against one of your stronger offensive players. Let them learn how to solve that problem together, gain some confidence in a 2-on-1, and let them show you some creativity because there's no one else there to help them. Now at that point, you've got an opportunity to elevate their confidence and skill set, and then you can go see if it worked in the game. This is the kind of stuff that I'm talking about that can work. So small-sided games are great because the kids don't really feel like it's a drill and they can problem solve. You want creativity and fun from these kids, and then go watch it on display in the games. The games aren't a great opportunity for you to coach. They're a better opportunity for them to show you where they're at. And that's kind of what I would go about it. I'm parked, so I'm gonna read this. Tyrell Brother Jenkins, my man. Protect the kiddos. Most parents don't believe in a break. Yeah, he's right. I think parents and coaches can underestimate the emotional stress of being a kid that plays. Whether you know it or not, your kids can feel how important their performance is to you personally. And if you don't get anything from this video, I would say that you need to take that more seriously. You don't have to say it. They know how much how much it matters to you, how well that they perform. And they're going to always know what's most important to you, whether you say it or not. So I think it's very important for you and your spouse, or if you're separated, that you guys at least have a healthy understanding of what the goal is of doing gymnastics this fall or playing soccer, whatever. What is the goal? Let's align on that. Let's make sure our conversations mirror that. Because if kids don't get good, healthy breaks from sports, even sports they love, your kid's not the decision maker just because they tell you what they want to do it. You're obligated to make the right decisions for them. But yeah, making sure that they have a break emotionally, making sure that they have a break physically. Because again, I've said this in multiple videos, even a good machine that you create, a perfect machine that's robust in every way, if it turns right every day, those bearings are going to break and they're going to be brittle. And then eventually your axle, and you guys know where I'm going with that. But if you want them to be great at a sport, don't overdo it. Make them want to do more. Make them watch it. And I don't know whatever happened to, watching something you want to be great at and getting ideas and letting a kid develop a relationship with, watching their favorite player and being like, man, I want to do that like them. These are things that I think can be done instead of just practicing a lot. One of the general rules I have for youth sports is a kid should never have a combination of practice time and play time in a game that is more than their age in a week. So let me say that again. I don't think a youth athlete should ever have practice and playtime add up to be more than their age in a week. So if your kid's 6 years old and you're having 3 2-hour practices and 2 games on Saturday, too much. And this is from psychological research and physiological research. It's a combination of those things overlapping, and I think that's a good rule of thumb. So again, if your kids are in youth sports, make sure your priorities are such that your kids understand, the people that coach your kids understand, and that other coaches that you play against develop an understanding of what your team and what your goals are. And then you got to mirror that with your disposition, and you got to mirror that in practice, and your kids have to feel that. And winning should not be the top priority, because if you're winning a lot, that probably means that your good players are doing too much. And if you're losing all the time, it's probably because you don't have a good practice culture and you're not developing kids and players. You're just trying to learn how to win the game. And I think those things are both wrong. So you don't want to be on either end of the spectrum. You should be in the middle. You should be competitive. Kids should be having fun. They should want to win, but they should learn from losing, and they should celebrate other teams' success and good matches, and learn the value of competition and what it does for you in the long term. I'm officially ranting now, but I kind of got spurred onto this. All right, what do you recommend for a 9-year? Let me look at this. See, What do you recommend doing with a 9-year-old on his own is eat up with working out? That's a really good question, Brooke. First of all, that's incredible that you have a 9-year-old that is just into it. What I would say is there is good and bad information out there. I think leveling with the 9-year-old, making sure that they know that this would be important to me. What they're reading could be written for a 48-year-old man, which a 48-year-old man's body is definitely needing to be trained a lot different than a 9-year-old body. And what they see a 28-year-old professional athlete do might be equally as inappropriate for them currently. So having those conversations, making sure they understand that what you read isn't always good. Sometimes it is. And then also from a nutrition standpoint, understand that some fad diets were created to answer very specific issues. Like some fad diets could be to target people that are cancer patients currently. Some could be for people that had very specific digestive issues. And what's happened is that the fitness industry has retrofitted those things and said, well, you know what? It also helps you lose weight. So let's do this. Or it also makes you look leaner. But a 9-year-old, they're not going to understand that, this literally could affect the way I do math because I can't cognitively bridge these gaps when I don't have these macros or whatever. So I think just being intentional on your part with having conversations like, hey, what have you seen? Oh, that's really cool. Who was it for? Who wrote this? Is there, you got to be careful. I mean, if the article came from, Testosterone Nation, like, you gotta get out in front of that. But if it's something like, some article written by a professional that deals with 9-year-old athletes, it's probably more appropriate. But unfortunately, most of the stuff out there is about weight loss, and it's about men dealing with low testosterone levels, and it's about women that want to lose a tremendous amount of weight, or it's about people that want to look like celebrity influencers. So you gotta be real careful about the content out there. Here's the basics with nutrition: eat real food, eat it often, eat a lot of colors on your plate. The closer it is from the ground or the tree to your mouth, or from the animal to your mouth, the better it is for you. Portion sizes, pretty simple. 2 fists of food, 3 if you're really hungry. More than that's probably too much. I mean, keeping it basic, nailing those things, that's important. As far as diet, the main thing is just no sugars. So I understand a kid that wants to avoid sugars. That's fantastic. I would say that natural sugars are very important for you. I always tell parents, like, you got a kid that needs sugar, they're telling you that they're not getting enough energy from their food sources for whatever reason. Maple syrup is a natural sugar that is appropriate and good in the morning. You can get them to do that. Obviously, fruit is the king of fast energy. Raisins and grapes, that gets in your bloodstream so fast, hardly is ever going to have any issues with digestion. For young kids, they can eat it right before they go do something. I think obviously all fruit, and then most carbohydrates are going to break down into a form of sugar that you're going to use, but it takes longer. It takes longer than fruit and some of these other things. Broderick said it's good to have sugar. I mean, it just depends. I think in the morning, most kids need something to get them going. Obviously, processed sugar can create a lot of chemical reactions and negative processes, that kind of feedback loops that cascade and keep going. But fruit, maple syrup, things that are natural, even stuff that's cane sugar derived, hasn't shown to create that type of negative effect as the day goes on, quite honestly. So we're getting off into some other things, but man, that's good stuff. These are interactive sessions. So anybody else have anything before I go? I wrap up my rant. By the way, I guess it was a pretty hot sports opinion that ex-pros shouldn't work with kids. And if you listen to it, that was just a headline. I don't mean that all ex-pros can't work with kids or shouldn't. What I meant was that you should not put the cart in front of the horse and assume that those people know how to work with your child. And I'm not going to back off of that either. So I'll have a part 2 tomorrow. My man, Matt Kitt, former roommate, brother, appreciate you, man. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, a lot of water in the morning, I agree. Reset the digestive system. It's big for kids. They need to drink a lot. Your kids should drink a full glass of water when they wake up. It's a great way to reset their digestive system. It kind of gets things going. I think that's a great thing to consider. Anybody else before I log off of here? You guys are great, man. I appreciate the interaction. If you have topics you want me to hit on, I won't shy away from them. I'll do it, no matter how controversial. Just let me know, because I'm dedicated to doing this stuff. So again, I appreciate everybody. Hope you have a great Monday, and please share this with anybody you think it can help.